Welcome everyone to another Reltio community show. My name is Chris Detzel, and today we have John Iloa on the phone again. He was here last week, talked a little bit about our new Snowflake connector, but today he will be talking about our new Reltio Google BigQuery connector. John is a principal product manager here at Reltio, and I'm the director of our customer community and engagement. By the way, thank you everyone for all the questions and things like that from last week. So the rules of the show is simple. Keep yourself on mute. All questions should be asked in chat or feel free to take yourself off mute at times and ask your question. The call is being recorded and will be posted to the community as usual. I will post all those links on where it will be here after John starts. There is a survey taken at the end of the call. The Zoom will pop up. There'll be a pop-up, and just please take that survey at the end. Matter of fact, some of our shows that that you've asked for in that survey is actually being on the community. So we do have some shows coming up. Today's show will be on Google BigQuery connector. We'll have a continuance of our how to search my data with Reltio APIs on an Ask Me Anything. Really excited about that. And then on the 15th, we'll have one on understanding Reltio API performance. And then this is the one that somebody asked for, and seemed like there needs to be a little bit more understanding of the ABCs of crosswalks, understanding their purpose and use. And then we have another one coming up on the 26th of April, but there will be a lot more in between, but I'm just working with some of the product managers to get some more going. But this one is BYOK, taking control of your data encryption with Reltio Shield. So you have to click on that link to see exactly what that is. But feel free to go to the community.reltio.com, click on the events or upcoming events, and register. I'm going to stop sharing, John, and I'm going to let you take control. And here we go.
Hey, Chris, thank you so much. And hey, everybody, thank you so much for joining today. Excited to talk about our new Reltio GBQ connector that was just released in the past release cycle. So yeah, again, like Chris iterated, I want this to be kind of an open forum here. So please feel free to include your questions in the chat. Feel free to let Chris know, and Chris will go ahead and moderate that and ask some questions in between. But excited to kind of present what this connector is about. Go in a little bit of the architecture, some of the features, benefits, problems we're trying to solve here at Reltio for our customers, and then hopefully we'll have some time for a demo. So I'll be taking you through what this connector looks like, feels like, and how it operates within Reltio to our target customer analytics warehouse GBQ. So that being said, let me go ahead and share my screen. All right, can you all see my screen?
Yes, good.
Excellent. Okay, so what I want to talk about is three key challenges here that we're trying to solve. One, as many in the room might be familiar with, is this idea of a single source of truth, getting accurate insights, and that kind of starts with getting accurate data to be able to get those insights. And that's a huge challenge with the organizations here today. Various data silos that exist. It's really hard to get a hold of what a single source of truth is, and to get that confidence to be able to go in front of your leadership and be confident about some numbers that might be reflecting your initiatives. And that is true here today. And what we're trying to accomplish is, with the Reltio MDM platform, is to do this, but a part of that experience is also exporting that single source of truth to where you can access it, where your team can access it, where your partners can access it, to be able to share that accurate dimension of insights and data. The second thing that I want to talk about is this idea that data is constantly flooding in, and it's not stopping. It is growing at a tremendous rate, and every organization is trying to be data-driven right now. And that involves collecting large amounts of data, whether that's zero-party data, first-party data, second-party data, third-party data. It's going to be up to 100-party data, in like 10 years. And this data is coming in from all sorts of integrations and partners internally, and it's getting hard to manage for our customers. And so, where should this data live, and how do you create a data strategy to be able to share this, right, in near real time? That's the key here, right? And to be able to get up to date on what's going on with all these different transactions, especially in an e-commerce world, it is quite overwhelming, right? So to be able to understand your customer and to be able to get that latest and greatest view is absolutely key when you think about presenting data in this world that we live in today. And then the third thing I want to kind of call out is integration headwinds. To be able to get this data right to the right place and to access it. There's lots of hurdles and steps and different offerings that our customers have here today to be able to get this data, right? There's a lot of configuration steps, a lot of validation that needs to happen, and a lot of partnership and project management that needs to occur, and kind of unblocking so many different departments to be able to actually see what is being said about a data integration. And we're talking about time to value here, right? And so customers are often overwhelmed with this, and they want to be able just to maybe put it on autopilot and just see, take care of this for me because this is too much to manage, right? And that's a lot of what we're seeing from our customers nowadays. So when we think about a connector, an analytics connector, what Reltio here is trying to do is partner with Google and Google BigQuery, because this is a very popular analytics warehouse that many of our customers and the market, are being a part of. And when you think about a data strategy, a lot of our customers are thinking about, okay, so lots of data flowing in, lots of different silos. How do I essentially organize this data to be able to take action on it at a fast velocity and also a trusted velocity? And so there's a trend here that we see with customers, essentially, as part of a data strategy, to use their analytics warehouse as that main repository, right? And so what we're trying to do from a Reltio standpoint, since we're looking to provide the single source of truth when it comes to different data types like entities, relations, interactions, matches and merges, right? We want to be able to be connected to where it all begins. And when you think about the GBQ connector, that's exactly what we're looking to try to do, is take this data out of the Reltio platform and have it persistently sync into the GBQ warehouse. And with that, it's persistent, but it's also near real time, and it's enabling these customers to go ahead and make these data-driven insights that they require from accurate data. And that's essentially what we're trying to do with analytics, reporting, and data science teams, trying to enable them to make the right decisions with Reltio data. And that's pretty much the gist of what we're trying to talk about with this Reltio GBQ connector. So a lot going on this slide here, but we want a little bit to talk about the different benefits that this connector can offer you. So when you think about the Reltio platform, we take in data from legacy systems, third-party data sources, various integrations, and applications, and that's done through our APIs and our data load UI. And Reltio does its magic. It cleanses, deduplicates, and enriches this data. But where the GBQ connector comes in, that Reltio just came out with, is exporting that data right to the business user audience to be able to get this rapidly, but also accurately, to use this for analytics and queries, but to also report on data visualizations, right? So we see here kind of the end state of what this connector is trying to do. We're trying to get you the right data, avoid having you guys spend all this time data prepping, organizing this data and getting it in the right format, manage that experience so you don't have to. And then ultimately get to an aha moment of visualization, right? What can I do with this data? Give me a visual depiction of what we can do. And so we've integrated with the local native BI tool here, Google Studio, to kind of represent that. And that's going to be a part of the demo here today. But what we're really trying to hammer in here is this near real-time experience and how important that is. And Chris, I know I mentioned that we could have another session on how important this is, and so many use cases out here. I think I'll just pick one. I think last time I talked about logistics. This time I'll talk about financial services. So before Reltio, I was a product manager in a large financial services institution. And when you think about digital onboarding experiences and how customers that are looking to make investments have so many different options today, and it's no longer you have to go into a bank; it's all done online to open up an account. But there's still rules and regulations that customers need to follow. KYC, AML. Rules particularly are important, right? So the institution needs to trust that customer to make sure they're compliant and it's safe to invest with that individual. So throughout this experience, in the e-commerce world, our customers expect decisions to be made like that. And when they have so many different options to go ahead and sign up for an account online, it's important to make this experience seamless as what they would expect when they put in an Amazon order. So when they're setting up and applying to be a part of a financial institution, invest with them, essentially pass their money to them, the institution also needs to do some background checks as part of that. So I was part of developing a tool to not only validate that experience or validate the customer for that institution, but at the same time they could be inserting malware or ransomware attacks. You've heard about that. That was going on in the industry a couple years ago and still is prominent today. So the idea of being able to pass let's say a passport or a driver's license, and to protect that organization from malware coming in, but at the same time trying to get that back to the customer and say, hey, okay, you're good to go. Your passport cleared, your driver's license cleared. It takes a lot of work under the scenes, and there's so many different departments and protocols that need to be followed. But reflecting back on that experience, the hardest thing to do was actually match this incoming request to join the institution to an actual single source of truth, right? So when you're getting all this metadata coming in about the passport, about the information about the customer, you're also trying to validate that against a database of a single source of truth. And that validation needs to be near real time, because the customer is not going to hang there for 15, 20 seconds. They're going to think that something's wrong with the page, and they're going to move on to their competitor. And the institution loses on a lot of money to go ahead and partner with that individual on. So that's just a case of near real time trends and experiences with data that we're facing today. Just want to kind of share the importance of this, and what we're trying to do with this GBQ connector is essentially facilitate these kinds of experiences. Okay, so said a lot here. Hopefully this is clear in terms of what we're trying to do. I'm going to move on. Chris, feel free to sprinkle in any questions group has, but I'll go on to the architecture.
Yeah, keep going. That was a great use case. I loved it. So thank you.
Awesome. Okay, so this is an architecture in terms of GCP tenants here at Reltio. How do we connect to a GCP project, right, to deliver this data with the Google BigQuery connector? There's pretty much two options here. So you see the separation of a Reltio GCP project. We see this platform service. This is where your tenants live, and there's lots of activities that are going on in this environment, right? You're loading new data every day. You have data stewards making some changes to some match rules. A new entity is created, a relation is deleted, what have you. We set up an event queue to essentially listen to those changes as they're happening, and we're essentially categorizing these events through a microservice, which is the GBQ connector, and transforming this into compatible formats to land into your GCP project and within your Google BigQuery as a project data set and as your GBQ project, right? And so what we're doing here is we're getting all these events and putting them into tables, views, and routines to effectively manage a near real-time ingestion of data from Reltio into your Google BigQuery account. And that's essentially, in a nutshell, what it's doing. There's some permissions that need to be done here to be able to write into your project, right? And that's done through either you using our Reltio service account, which is on the left side, or we can also take in your service account, right? But we need to have some permissions to be able to do so. And after those permissions are granted, and we enable this this tenant for you, it pretty much starts working like that. After the initial data load, everything is working for you, and you're getting data in easily formatted tables that you can kind of query against. And when we talk about routines, we think about the fact that there's a lot of events that are flooding in, right? Let's think about cost concerns about getting all this information flooded into your GBQ product that's going to go ahead and put a lot of bills on you. And so we have routines here to go ahead and protect and archive this data so that you're not going to get hit with these costs, right? So we're thinking about your cost management aspect of getting this new real-time experience, but we're also thinking about getting this actual data, right? So you can go and do your analytics applications. And so these are just two different ways that we can move forward from an architecture standpoint about how the GBQ connector works. And I do want to do a quick shout out here that it also for anybody that's a GBQ customer, but you maybe don't have a GCP tenant. This also works with AWS and Azure tenants as well to be able to get this information into your Google BigQuery account, right? We have separation between your tenant right here and then a project, right? And what we require to go ahead and facilitate this is a little bit different. Is just getting some key information as a kind of intermediary approach, but everything else just pretty much flows like the way that we just talked about, right? And a cool thing that I do want to mention here in terms of performance, right? For those that maybe have the legacy analytics connector that we have here in the past, is that we are now using a highly performant Google Write API. Before we were using this insert API. So, this is displayed here in the picture. I just want to go ahead and call that out because that is a huge performance gain. That's also saving on cost at the same time for you guys. So, making some good performance and cost savings features here with this new product. And so, like I mentioned, integration headwinds. I like customers want to go ahead and see the value of this immediately. There's really just pretty much 6 basic steps, for each way you want to go ahead and go about getting access to this connector and getting access to this data. If you're using our service account, you just got to get that information through our documentation. You create a project and you create a data set, and you provide your tenant environment, your ID, the project set name, the data set name, put it in through a ticket. And if you're set up, contractually for this product, then you receive a go-ahead to continue using this product now that it's enabled. And then there's some validation steps that we have in the documentation. And then you just transfer your data, and then everything should just be working, and you don't have to do any more work, right? It's very low code, no code, out of the box situation. And if you're using your service account, the only difference is you just give us that information instead of going to get our information. We have a secure key credentials API to facilitate that. And that's pretty much the only difference. Everything else is pretty seamless here. And that's what we're really trying to aim for with this new product. So this is just a look at what the table structure in the data schema would look like. So we do have 2 options here. We have this new JSON view table schema option, which we're really excited about. And this is what you would see here today. So when you talk about out of the box, what do you get using this connector? You get essentially 5 views and 5 raw tables, right? The raw tables are the ones that essentially are getting into this data to start. They're managing all the different event versions that are coming in to facilitate these views that you see here on the screen. The data schemas are the same for the views and the tables, right? So you're getting, from an entity standpoint, you're getting that information about their attributes and their crosswalks. What entity type is it? Is it an organization? Is it a contact, for example? And you're getting some event details in terms of who created this event, who updated it, and what time this was occurring. The only difference with the relation view or table, right, is that we have a start and end object to facilitate that lineage of that relation. And when we talk about interaction, if you guys use interaction data, we have members of the interaction. So if an organization, submitted payment to an employee, right? You'd be able to track that there through that member view. And then from a match perspective, this is what a lot of people are interested with this use case, the match and the merge aspect of it, is that you get potential matches, you get what's not a match, and you get manual matches, and you get the latest version of these considerations, the rules associated to that, and the timestamp of when a potential match occurred, right? So this today in the Reltio platform, it is available, right? But you only can see so much on the UI. You get like a subset of it of these potential matches, right? But when you think about a use case for people to look at, they want to go into production using some match rules that they tested out in lower environments. They want to go ahead and play around with that in lower environments, understand those matching rules and potential matches, and see how they actually orchestrate in lower environments to see if they feel confident moving that into production. And so you're getting all the potential matches, not just a subset with this export, which is pretty neat. And then from a merge standpoint, you're getting what happened after maybe a potential match was taken action on, right? And this is historical merge tree information. Who was the winner? Who was the loser after a merge? What were the match rules? The URIs associated to that. Was it an auto merge? Was it a manual merge? And now, pretty exciting, we have a new type of merge that we're also categorizing. It's on the fly, and we'll talk about that a little bit in the demo here. But on the fly merge is essentially a process where, not like auto, when there's two entities and you have that kind of documented within the Reltio platform. There's one entity and one entity that's becoming an entity, but not quite there yet, right? So you'll be able to capture this on the fly, that you already understand that this phantom entity is associated to this other entity, and we're also categorizing that now, right, as an on the fly merge, right, which is also helpful, right, because a lot of our customers are looking into that, whether that's for entitlement concerns, but also just trying to get better at analyzing this information before it gets too downstream, right? And so we have this information as well. So pretty exciting. I'll definitely go ahead and show you in the demo kind of what this looks like with some real data. But that's essentially the data schema in a nutshell for this stuff.
Great. A couple questions, John. Frank, thanks for the question. How does or will the connector resolve new entity types and relationship types in Reltio? So harmonize the graph node mode with the relational model, tables and views, and GPQ post instantation, something like that. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. Yeah. So,
okay.
So Frank, this will be covered in the demo. You'll be able to see exactly how everything kind of updates. It's super interesting. So hopefully the demo answers your question, Frank. And if not, feel free to follow up and we can talk it up.
Great. And then one other question on entities: are the crosswalk level attributes like OV and non-OV available within the crosswalk array?
Yeah. So we'll go over this, look into the actual real data, what it looks like in the demo. But we do have the option to include OV and non-OV. That's a configuration setting. But we also have an option if you're interested, right? I just want to have the operational values, right? The single source of truth. I don't want to worry about the non-OV. There's a configuration option within the GBQ connector to give you that. But we offer OV and non-OV as a default.
Great. Thank you. That's all the questions for now.
Awesome. Cool. So I talked a little bit about this, that the part of the connector experience is that it's a managed pipeline, right? You don't have to worry about it. This is pretty much out of the box. We provide the out of the box schema, the formatting, the transformation into your GBQ project and data set. And so you don't have to, right? You don't have to worry about this aspect of things. And frankly, if the JSON format, that's a new feature here as is selected. When you think about if you're making adding a new attribute as part of your data model, right, within the Reltio platform, that essentially is taken care of by Reltio. So you no longer have to submit a support ticket, whenever there's a data model change, to be able to understand and get the latest on that information, right? And this is now managed by Reltio. So when you talk about out of the box, this is another thing that Reltio does on behalf of you. And then, core tenant data. So like I mentioned, we do matches, merges, relations, interactions, and entities. And this is, to give you that 360 view of the data near real time. I think I, beat that drum pretty pretty prominently. And then we also have this reporting template, which would be part of this demo to show you how to visualize data and how to start building your own reports off of the data that we provide you. And then this aspect of the JSON and column-based formatting. So column-based is for our legacy Reltio Analytics customers who may be on the call or may have that, right? It was a column-based format. And I'll show you in the demo kind of what that looked like. And we have this for backwards compatibility in case they wanted to migrate to the new one. But we were definitely recommending this JSON format, which will go into the demo as well. Both are easy to manage in the receipt, whether that's for backwards compatibility purposes or if you're just net new and starting out with it. Yeah. So again, what this connector is doing is enabling these accurate insights. It's doing this rapidly, and it's taking over the integration, so you don't have to worry about that. And I think that's pretty much what I wanted to cover here before the demo. Any other questions, Chris, or can we go hop into this demo?
I will be. Seeing is believing.
Gotcha. Okie dokie. So here, if you guys can see my screen, we have the Google BigQuery open here. I'm going to take you through a variety of stages of this demo. We have a tenant here that's already configured both on the legacy format and the new JSON format. So I wanted to take the time just to kind of show you what the legacy version looked like, and just to show you kind of what we've done in between. So I'll start with that. This is an option that's available with this GBQ connector. So we'll start by running this command here. Okay, so you'll see that we give a URI, a type, an ID, that created time, who's it created by, updated time, updated by. If there's a deletion events, the event time, insert time, we have a version time. This is important in both of the formats here, because this is how we manage the latest object version to provide you views. We have this in the legacy compatible format as well. And then you see now that the columns start exploding, this column-based format here. So we have crosswalks, value, attributes, URI, update. All this stuff is going to go ahead and explode all the way out, hundreds of columns for you. And that's how the data is organized. And it's the same for attributes, and it'll go on and on, right, off of this. And what I'm going to do now is just show you what the view looks like. Pretty similar. Yeah.
Out of the box L3, then how would it sync with the out of box GBQ model? Is it manually or automated, or what will be the process?
Yeah, so that's a good question. With the legacy view, we have a variety of business rules that we apply, force functions to make the formatting and the schema kind of match as close to one-on-one as possible. And within the documentation, we note like exceptions, right? For example, if there's like an underscore, and the Reltio UI or of an attribute, right? Like my underscore field, right? It would be my dash field, something like that, right? So there's some discrepancies in that. We have business rules to go ahead and try to resolve as much. But this is why we're really promoting the new JSON format, because that is now a one-to-one mapping of the Reltio data format that you see in the Reltio UI, the APIs, right? To what you see in GBQ. GBQ recently added JSON as a column, as a data type itself, and we took advantage of that. And that's essentially what this new feature is about. That now we don't have to do any manual business rules to make sure that is aligned with the Reltio data. It's now done automatically. That answers that question. Awesome. Yeah, so this is the view that we have here. Again, I'm on the legacy views, and we'll just see that it's going to be pretty much the same. What you would get here that's different is that when there's multiple versions, it will come up as the latest version. But that's it. You get all these columns that are kind of blown out here. Okay, so I'm going to be done kind of with the legacy pretty much for the most part of this demo. I just want to make anybody aware that we do have backwards compatibility that we're keeping in mind through the migration. If you guys choose to do the migration, right, to avoid any hiccups of trying to rework anything that's already set up, right? We have all this for you to consider. But we also want to recommend that you switch to the newest format because it's just more highly performant, cost efficient, and provides that one-to-one mapping. So moving forward to the JSON format schema here, I'm going to show you. So this is a different tenant. And we'll start going into the raw tables. Oh. My bad. A second. Let's see. Okay, my bad. All right, so just the query response time's a lot quicker on this new format here. But you'll go ahead and see the URI, the same thing, the type of the entity. This is the contact, the ID, the created time, update time. All this is very familiar rates than time, but we have the version here. But we now store these attributes and the crosswalks in JSON, right? So you have all these attributes and crosswalks here that are associated to this. So somebody was asking, do we include the OV values true? And we do. We also have this for false, right? And this would all be, occurred in the attributes in the crosswalk section. So if you look at the JSON view, right, you see all the attributes, crosswalks that are kind of bundled in here. And so this is just the way that we're designing it, because it does match that one-to-one mapping of Reltio, so you're not going to get any data discrepancies. So when you think about data prep, you don't need to do any additional work to go ahead and get that to match Reltio, right? And that's kind of the point of what we're doing here with this new format. And it's also more highly performance. So that's what the raw entities look like. And I'll just quickly go over what the view looks like for entities. It's going to be pretty much the same kind of structure here, right? It's a view, so it's a virtual query, right? We recommend that you use these views to actually query against. Like I mentioned, we do these version times so that it represents the latest object version. So there's a lot of events that might occur in an entity. We'll go through this in the demo today, right? But you would see this version time, and it would always be the latest version, right? The raw tables include all the version history, right? It's managed through that compaction algorithm I mentioned to help you with the cost savings. But the views itself, right, you want to use for your queries because this is the latest object version. This is the latest data for your insights, right, that you want to go ahead and experience. All right. All right, so now I'm just going to quickly go over the schemas of the relations here. I'm just going to call out, what we talked about in terms of the start end ID rates and that aspect of it, right? That's kind of what we're showing here in the relations of that start and end objects. That's kind of what we're looking for of a relation between these two entities, for example. That's what you're getting out of that relation view here. And then for interactions, so this is, I slightly digress because I'm going to go back to the old tenant, and this is the legacy view. There's no interactions on the demo tenant I have, but I just wanted to show you the member stuff. I'll be a part of this situation. Where is it? Yeah, interaction type. Payments rates, and then the members of that transaction, pretty much. So again, that's what we're seeing here for interactions. You have your member stuff. That's important. And for interactions that would be in the JSON format, you get the same kind of thing, except you're not getting the column base. You're getting the JSON, the crosswalks and attributes package, but you would understand an interaction member through that. So now switching back to the merges, I'll show you this real quick. So yeah, like I mentioned, you have the merge key information, deleted, winner ID, loser ID, the match rules, first name, last name, this is a match rule, where a merge happens. The version, timestamp, inserted time, whether it was the type, this is a manual merge. I actually did this for a demo. There's auto, and then this is on the fly aspect of it, right? So this was done with the match rule here with this phantom entity, and this was created, and this is an on the fly, right? So this is kind of this table structure that we have here for merges. Right. Last but not least, we'll do the matches. Okay. So here, entity ID, whether it's deleted, false or true. So when you think about deleted, right, this is like an aspect of when a match becomes a merge, right? We don't need to represent that anymore in the match because it's now a merge, right? So we're reflecting that here. The version, the potential matches, right? This is what you're looking for here. The match rules associated with a potential match, whether if there's a match score enabled, we put that there. And then if somebody classifies it, it's not a match. And then if it's a manual match, this is often a rule. So that's in a nutshell kind of what you're getting to start with, right? But now I wanted to switch gears to actually showing an entity creation within the tenant. So here I have this tenant open in the UI. I'm going to create just a new individual here. Excuse me. Well, I'm a Looney Tunes fan, so I'm going to just create one for Elmer. Let's see what else we want to do here. I'm just going to show an example of the change. Let's call him 45. Let's say he's a hunter. Let's get down. I'm putting in some random facts to just show you that we're capturing all the attributes through here too as well. His sales value is 2,000. And this, I guess, is more of a lead situation. So this is, I think the tenant is, insurance, right? So a lead on somebody that's trying to maybe buy a policy. This is the aspect of that. And let's call him married for now. He has this income. And then this credit score. This is an all-star with a credit score, right? And yeah, he has this discount or something. Okay, so we're adding this Elmer FUD right here. I'm going to save this. All right, so I have this new entity ID. I'm going to go back here. And what we're going to do is show you how quick this updated. So I just place this here for now. So when I select this statement right here, this is the raw entity table and the URI. I just created this entity. So I want to show you if it's updated and how quick it is. Let's see if it actually did updates. Yeah, it did. So that's super quick, right? We see this entity ID matches this one. It's created by me at this time. It's not deleted events, and we have these attributes here: 45, this income, credit score, top notch, 75, and Elmer FUD, right? So this is exactly, we're capturing all the attributes here. The crosswalk is from Reltio. Let's look at this. Sorry, let's look at the JSON just conversion source is Reltio. I just made it within Reltio, so that's it, right? So that's pretty exciting. Now I want to show you, the entity view here. And this is going to become important when we actually make a change in a bit. So a little bit longer on the virtual query, but everything shows up here. So it reflects on the view. This is what it is, right? And now what I'm going to do here is change this entity And let's say he's like 55 actually, and he has like 125,000 in income. That's really what it is the change. You gotta raise at work, and this is like 10 years later, something like that. You got a raise at work as a hunter. He's killing it as a hunter. All right, so I just made this change, right? Let's see how it reflects over here. So this is the same query. Actually, I'll just use a different query here. Okay. All right. So now you see there's two versions here. All right. The first version that I had, right, version 1, and then version 2. And you see through 45, right, this changed to 55. Let's see where. So 75,000 changed to 125,000, right? And so that's pretty important to show, because when you look at the view, you'll just get the latest version 2, because that's the most up to date, right? That's the right age, and that's the income, that's the raise, right? And that's what we have here. So super fast, super performant, and that's kind of it for the near real-time experience of the demo. But I want to try to jump into, so looks like we have like 15 minutes left. Let me try to hurry up here. So I'm trying to show you here, now we have this report. So these are custom views that I created on top of the out-of-the-box tables of views that we provide here at Reltio, part of the GBQ connector. So I created a view here, and we'll just select all these. Just to show you, this is a part of a report, right? So I want to understand maybe like a match KPI report. And what's important is that we show essentially some aspects of a potential match. We want to see this in a report. And so I'm organizing by type, match role, the source ID, and if there's a match associated to that source ID and a match score, right? And these are queries and SQL queries that we provide to you as part of the documentation. So you can actually recreate this report yourself. Just showing you kind of what exists in this report. You want to look at the merges too. So again, what type of merge, auto, manual, on the fly, the match rules associated to the ID, and I'm counting merges, right? Counting merges throughout the dates. I also want to understand what wasn't merged, because I'm trying to get some totals here. I'm trying to understand total entities. I'm trying to understand what wasn't merged, what was merged, and what is a potential match, right, for a future merge, right? So I'm trying to get these totals to represent this, and these are, by entity type, all the entities that don't have a merge to it. And then last but not least, this is the entity view. Entities that are updated, the start and end date, and the number of entities, right, per the contract type, right? So using just these 4 views that, again, come out of the box with our documentation, but also kind of showing you how this gets updated to a snazzy little reporting template. So we have this reporting template here. This is something that we provide to you as part of the product here. And you'll see this is off of a different tenant, but we want to go ahead and showcase, right, the entities with no merges, potential matches, auto merges, and manual merges, right? And we have merge rules and match rules and entity type as a filter. We have this match rule, right, the number of merges associated to the match rule, and then sort of match rule for potential matches as well, and then there's an average score associated to it. More importantly here, we have these entity ID drill downs. So when you think about this, you're trying to understand a particular drill down to a specific entity and what just happened with that entity. What was the match rule associated to the merge rule and the entity type? When you see entities here represent this number, entities with no merges, this number is like a 4 different. right? So these are the four entities that were merges, and these are non-merges, right? And then matches are considered separate, right? Because they're potential, matches for a merge, right? And we track them separately on this side. So just again, trying to showcase that aspect of it, and the merges reflect, this number of merges here. And so this is the template that you kind of were given to work with here, and really all you do, to make this relevant for your data, right, is you go in here, and these are the four queries that I just kind of went over. And you essentially go in, I'm not going to replace them all, right, because I already did it, but you go into your projects, your data set, and have this insurance, and then you pick essentially these tables that I just created. I forget which one it was, I'm not going to add it, but you just add it. And this is all the data that you can connect to after this initial step too, which is pretty exciting within Google BigQuery, right? Lots of different applications. But once you do that, for all four of these, you essentially get this. This is my demo that we're doing this BigQuery application on, the insurance demo. This is the total number of entities with no merges, potential matches, and the auto merges, and the merges here. So when you think about entities, you subtract this and no merges, then you're dealing with entities that had some kind of merge. The majority of them was auto merged. Some were manual merges, and the difference here is those on-the-fly merges that were just added. So you have, again, the number of merges associated to the match rules. These match rules are going to be associated to your data model and your tenant, right? So you see there's different ones. The other one was manual. This has a bunch of other ones based on certain rules that are put in. And again, you drill down to the merge entities and the match entities. And this is all actually populated as the latest, merge and the latest match that was generated. So it's ordered by that. And this represents a snapshot of the data anytime, right? Anytime you'd be able to look at this report. This is the latest activity that's occurring. It's consistent with the connector kind of value proposition there. So that's what the report looks like. And what I want to do now is I'm going to add a new entity with a match rule, and then we're going to look at the potential match and then display the report change. So I'm going to go ahead and add a new entity. And it's Elmer Fudd again. And let's say that he's 55, he's a hunter, but he's a male or whatever. Let me get down to something here. Maybe he's put in with a different sales value and he has different income, but it's the same name. And let's say that he's now married. Okay. And then maybe his credit score is lower or whatever. All right. So I'm going to save this. And I have a new entity ID. I go in here. This is the entity ID. Let's run this. So it already showed up as a potential match to this entity that I just created, right? And you can look at this also in this potential match section here. Go here, Elmer Fudd Hunter. Looks like it's recommending I merge based on a rule here. Last name, exact, right? So this is the rule. And when we go to this report, let's see, refresh this. There's a new match that's added here. So let's just go back here again. to look at this one for PW. So Z. I think it's for one. So what's this? There we go. XLZ PW. Right? So it shows up in near real time. This is something we just created. That's pretty impressive, right? And then what I'm going to do now is merge it. I'm going to merge this guy because I think they're the same person based on this rule. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. It is now merged. Let's replace this. Information here. Let's start this one. There we go. Merge. This is the winner ID off of that merge, the loser ID. And let's see how this guy shows up now in the matches, right? Like I mentioned, right, we're doing like a flag on like deletion, right? Is it still a match? What happened here? 1 second. I'm gonna look at that view real quick. Two versions. One was deleted, one was not true, right? And we have this potential match, but now this is a deleted aspect. So you look at the latest matches view and you should actually see nothing. Right, so it's all orchestrated here, fundamentally updating throughout all these different tables based on activities that you see in the Reltio platform, which is great. And then last but not least, you see this, let's go ahead and change this up. Include all this now. Let's see how this goes to the merge. So refresh the data here. Oh, I'm excluding this, my bad. Then I'm gonna go into the rules. So this rule here is first and last name null, right? And you see it pops up. This is the winner ID, right? Then the XLX, then the XLX. And it shows up all the way at the top because this is the most recent merge that happened with tenant. So that's essentially in a nutshell how this works, right? Just showing the new real-time experience, looking through matches and merges and seeing how this updates in a report. It's pretty exciting stuff. I think we have 5 minutes. Man, Chris, I always wanted to show this this API, this entity and event monitoring API. It's like my most exciting feature. But I'll just
start with that first for now on, you know.
And now I got to start. Maybe you got to invite me to another one. But yeah. But just a quick plug on that is that we now have a monitoring feature that allows us to look at the events that occurred within that specific entity. So there's a lot of things that happened with this then the XLX entity Emler FUD, right? We created a new entity, we updated it, we saw it as a potential match, it got merged. You can actually see all that event flow in terms of events and timestamps through this API. And that essentially what that does is that gives you that visibility of troubleshooting what happened with this, right? If there's an issue on the GBQ platform, right, or there's an issue in Reltio, you'd be able to see all the steps in terms of what the step says is data pipeline process. And when that says that, then that means that it's definitely in the GBQ element. But if you see something that doesn't say that, or you see like an incomplete event, that means that there might be something wrong that we need to investigate. And you can go ahead and create a support ticket for that. So we're providing that visibility, right? That everything should be working as expected, but in case not, give you a peace of mind. You can look at that flow, and we're opening that up to you guys to take it out. So it's pretty cool. It's pretty neat. I'll have to probably get back to you to show that. I know we don't have a lot of time, but wanted to just leave some time for any questions, Chris, that might come in.
There's a lot of questions. I don't know that we'll get to them all, but let's start. Will there be any table in GBQ for workflows like DCR?
Love the question. Yeah, so that's on my roadmap. We are looking to get that out at our next release. We're looking to get out workflow data types. We're looking to get out history log data types, for that year comparison, right, of what happened with how many, merges or consolidated profiles happened this year versus last year. And then we're looking to get out some activity log data types as well, right, to see, from an audit perspective, who's doing what in the platform, and looking to see on usage there.
Great. So Sushant's new to Reltio. He goes, so he has several questions. Not sure we'll get to them all, but why do we need a GCP project for Reltio? I think you did cover it, but just need to have more details of what services are needed and how to connect, how the connector deployed.
Yeah, so just the connector is good for any kind of tenant within Reltio, AWS, Azure, GCP, right? There's just a different architecture for security purposes to ensure that there's no, commingling of different environments, right? Since this is a Google BigQuery connector, right? There's a different setup when you do have a Google tenant with us versus an AWS and Azure, right? But the same thing is needed for the connector to connect to Google BigQuery, project and data set. We need to be able to load the data into that data set and affiliated project, and do some authentication, right, via service account to allow us to get into your Google BigQuery instance.
Great. And he has like 3 other questions. I'm going to skip those for now because I think they're not going to be quick. But one other question, are you planning to include CSV flat format version into the queries or query results, or is that a GBQ enhancement?
I think that's a GBQ enhancement.
Okay.
So
Can we also integrate? Sorry, go ahead. The AHA
yeah, we
stuff.
have AHA, the plug for AHA. If you have any enhancement requests, right?
Yeah.
Put it there.
Good. And can we also integrate or push this data into Google 4 or GA4, Google Analytics 4?
Yeah, so I think like what's good about this is that it goes into your Google BigQuery aspect of like your instance, right? So I would say whatever Google BigQuery is compatible for, you can definitely integrate into other Google services. Like I think I showed some of the different data things that you can pass through.
Yeah, and then we'll just get to this last one because I don't know if it's going to be that long, but what are the options if we need to share this data outside of Google Studio and use another reporting tool like, Power BI or et cetera?
Yeah. So there's a share process here, and that's going to be part of our documentation to show you how you can share that within your organization to facilitate, those kinds of use cases.
Great. And lastly,
I meant if you want to use this data, but not use Looker Studio, we may not be able. Well, we may not want to use Looker Studio. Instead, we want to connect, let's say, Power BI directly to GBQ and access the same data, be able to run similar queries and build our reports there instead.
Hey, Chandra, how's it going? Long time no talk. So the way that this works is native to Looker Studio, right? But the thing is that if Looker Studio can connect to a BI tool like Tableau or Microsoft BI, then if that integration exists, then it can work, right? So that's just something you have to kind of investigate. But these are SQL queries so you can be able to look at what's under the hood of the report. We share those SQL queries to see if that can go ahead and blend into your Tableau or BI instance.
Sounds good.
All right, everyone. We're out of time. And Sushant, I will try to I will actually push those questions out to the Reltio community. So thank you everyone for coming. After this show, you'll get a pop-up from Zoom. Please take the survey, and all your feedback is very helpful. Until next week, to another show, John, thank you so much. This was really good, really exciting stuff here on the two connectors, specifically this one, GBQ. So thank you everyone for coming, and that's a wrap.
Appreciate it, Chris. Thank you so much.
Take care. Bye.
Yeah, bye.